Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video of the Arsenal. Today I'm going to be talking about some things that have been circulating around the community, and because it's circulating around more and more and more people talking about it, it seems like that indeed it is true. And what this is it's German battleships, German carriers, and a few other ships which have only been mentioned a few times, but I'm not sure if it's true or if it's not. I don't know. Anyway, first thing we're going to talk about is we are going to talk about the German battleships. And if I could just change, there you go, the German battleships. So the first one, I think, because German battleships, I think will be the Nassau class battleship. And the thing is, if this is added in, this thing is going to be like, imagine a a um trying to think of the name of the ship now, a Kawachi, but completely smothered in armor and has smaller caliber guns, but they hit really hard. And this is basically the thing you get. You get this thing. Um, so it was real ship, and honestly, um, this thing has some insane armor in World Warships. It had some insane armor in real life. Um, and honestly, if it doesn't get its insane armor in the game, then they're not really going to be sticking with historical values. They're going to be drifting away. Um, and because it had 283mm guns or 11-inch guns, it was more of a battle cruiser because it didn't really have battleship guns, but at the same time, it had battleship armor. So, what do you really call it? I mean, they call it a battleship, but do you really call it a battleship? Um, and I think this would be the tier 3, so it'll be pretty inaccurate. Tier 4 will probably be the coin or, what's the other one? The coin or, wait, if we just look up German battleships of World War One. It's German battleships. Let's have a look. Not battleships. A Kaiser. That could be tier 4. Let's look at this one. Main guns. 12 times 200. What? 12? Ooh, that's a lot farther. 2, 6, 8, 10, 12. So it's effectively a Nassau, but with 305s. So that could be tier 4. Nassau could be tier 2. So tier 4, tier 5 could be Coin. Tier 6 could be the Baden. I've already seen the Baden. I've already seen it. So, I mean, hey, they can't really hide it now. Now it's out there. It's out in the community. German battleships. German. I haven't seen any German carriers, and I haven't seen the. Now this could be really shock to everybody, but from what I've heard from a few people, is the Alaska class large cruiser, or as the British like to call it, a battle cruiser, is coming into the game. Is it tier 9? Don't know. Is it tier 10? It will be better tier 10 because this thing has 305mm guns on a very large cruiser hull. Um, and so, I mean, the speed it does is between 31 knots. That's what like cruising speed. 33 knots is maximum speed. Um, this thing doesn't have the armor of a battleship, but it has the guns of a battleship. And because these are super heavy AP, they're just gonna chunk just so much. Um, honestly, this is one that I was most excited about. Because hopefully adding this thing in, because this thing in real life had radar. So if they added this thing in, hopefully they would think about probably adding in something like radar or hydroacoustic search or surveillance radar or whatnot. To spot destroyers and smoke. I know. Calm down, destroyer players. I know you're going to be having a hissy fit. Oh, it's going to be more problematic with destroyers. Destroyers are already ridiculous. And we need some kind of counter, and this is obviously like because hearing about this ever since they've buffed some of the American destroyers, I would not be surprised if they add in this and the spell that one. Go. Look at images. That's Alaska. So basically, Puerto Rico is just an Alaska class, but instead of having 9 guns, it has 12. So, yeah. Imagine like a Montana, a bit smaller, far less armored, has smaller guns, but is a hell of a lot more mobile. And yeah, you get this thing. Imagine an Iowa, but that is just all of it is just downgraded, and you get this. This is just basically like a baby Iowa. Really, really scary, really scary. Um, so, and because they have CB1, CB normally means battle cruiser. So, um, but honestly, I would not be shocked if they add this thing in and then add like a surveillance radar on it. So say it's active for like say 20 seconds or 15 seconds and it spots destroyers in smoke within say a 7 kilometer, probably 5 kilometer distance. That would be that would definitely make destroyers be a little bit more careful. Will this thing be a premium? I don't know. I don't know if it's tech tree. I don't know if it's a premium. I don't know. All I've heard is just a name, and I'm really excited if this thing is to be added in. I haven't heard anything from the developers. I've tried to get in contact with the lead developer, and I haven't been able to get in contact with him yet. But honestly, um, what the fuck is this? Hang on. Alaska class Battlecruiser. Oh wait, was this Puerto Rico? 4x3 12-inch Mark 50s. Interesting. So yeah, effectively, I would honestly really enjoy to see this thing in the game, because overall, um, honestly, if they add this in the game, they're probably going to have to add it like tier 10, tier 9, or whatnot. If they add it in tier 8, they have the highly um, problem of damaging their game forever, because we all know how stupidly overpowered the Alaska class is on modern warships. And honestly, if they added it into their game in such a horrific state, honestly, in my opinion, they won't, because they're developers that, actually care for the game, which is a very big plus for the game. Um, but honestly, if they want to add in the Alaska class, then then they're going to have to balance it in some way. But I believe that it is not a coincidence that they buff the destroyers and then they come out with a destroyer killer. This is not just a destroyer killer. This is a cruiser killer. This is a cruiser hunter. Um, but it doesn't surprise me at all that they buff the destroyers and then they come out with this thing. It's not confirmed. But from what I've heard, the German battleships obviously are confirmed. They obviously are. The German carriers, don't know. I have heard another thing about um the Admiral Hipper and the Eugen, the Prince Eugen, Eugen, or have you said? I do apologize. But honestly, the Alaska was the one that excited me the most. The Germans, hopefully, hopefully, the the dev team actually give the Germans, superior secondary armor, range and ballistics, because that's what German battleships are all about. They're all about their secondary guns. I mean, come on, add them in with their very good secondary guns. Don't make the secondary guns overpowered. Probably make them a little bit more inaccurate than standard secondary guns, but give them a lot more range instead of the standard range. Because do you need to add in a new gimmick? Add in a new gimmick, like add the German battleships with more armor, or maybe the chance that you can't citadel them that as easily, or maybe you can't, you know, or maybe they just have like really long secondary range. But the Alaska coming in, hopefully coming in, it's not confirmed, but hopefully if it comes in, hopefully it will have some kind of really new gimmick, like maybe surveillance radar to spot those pesky destroyers, because the game right now is just overrun with destroyers, and we need something to shut down destroyers. Um, just to calm the situation down a bit. But honestly, I would love to see this in the game. Would it be overpowered? No. If they balance it right, and if they actually test the ship before fully releasing it, then no, it won't be overpowered. Honestly, I have a feeling this will go tier 9, and then the Puerto Rico will go tier 10, and they'll probably just make like a tech tree lineup. And if they do, then that will be perfect, because then everybody can have access to this ship. There we go. Battlecruiser. Look, Americans, Battlecruiser. It's not a large cruiser. It's Battlecruiser. I mean, of course, this is from the Asian forms. Anyway, we're not sure about that. The German battleships. The tier 4 one, I think is going to be the Coin. I don't think it's going to be the Kaiser, because the Kaiser is... it's sort of a weird ship, really. But the Coin will be interesting. I think it'll be interesting. If I'm correct, it has 10 305mm guns. And it's got a bit of an odd layout. If I can bring it up here. It's got 2 turrets there, it's got 2 turrets here, and it's got one in the middle, which is a bit weird, but it is less weird than, say, the the Kaiser. If I can find it, yeah, there we go, Kaiser. We look at the Kaiser. Look at that weird layout. Look at that weird layout. Yeah, you would need to give basically complete freeboard just to fire a full broadside. Not well. Honestly, with the amount of, World War One, World War Two, God knows what, like battleships, and dreadnoughts and whatnot, they could make a few premiums and make a few buck from the game, but don't make the premiums completely absurd. Um, I honestly think that if they added in the Kaiser, they could add it is, I don't know, maybe a tier 3 premium. Like, give it more inaccuracy on the main guns, but give it a lot more secondary firepower than the tier 3, than the Dassault. But probably give it a bit weaker armor as well. Puerto Rico, I think, will be tier 10. The Alaska will be tier 9. For tier 8, now, tier 8, honestly, I think that will be the USS. No. USS Congress. I honestly think it will definitely be the Congress, because the Congress is basically an Alaska class, but it loses 2 guns. So it's got 2 turrets, which have 2 guns, and then 1 turret with 3 guns. And the triple turret actually sits higher than the dual turret, which is a bit weird, but I mean, hey, is there a better picture anywhere? Look, just type in. There we go. No, that's not the one. Open image. Oh, I don't know. That does not help one bit. That's the battleship line. Yeah, but USS Congress will be tier 8. I honestly think it will be tier 8. Because it's Alaska, which loses 2 guns. And then tier 7, you could go with American battle. United States. Look. Lexington. Constellation. USS United States uses. USS Ranger. USS Puerto Rico. USS Alaska. Puerto Rico. The 9 times 12 inch, but the Puerto Rico has 12 times 12 inch. Lexington could be tier. Oh yes, yes, that's the other thing. That's the other thing I just remembered. Just remembered. They also talked about I believe it was the Lexington, or was it Constellation? One of those two, probably tier 6. That caused me to have a complete heart attack because the Lexington is, imagine a Colorado, which does 35 knots. Does 35 knots, has Fletcher torpedoes. Just hang on, Fletcher torpedoes, has 16-inch guns. But obviously doesn't have the armor of the Colorado. That's what the Lexington is. And when I found out that you know that they that when I found that out, when I heard about that, and I've heard it like a few times, not that many times, but I've heard it a few times. Um, I was shocked. I was honestly shocked. I think they'll call it the USS Constellation because we already have the USS Lexington, so it could be the Constellation. So imagine a bloody Colorado with torpedoes running around at tier 6. That's really scary. And the thing is that unlike the Colorado, she would get the dual purpose guns, which the Philadelphia gets. Is it the Philadelphia or was it the I think it's the um um if I just join this real quick. I believe it's not Philadelphia, it's I'll just mute that real quick. It is the Pennsylvania. I do apologize. It will have the same. I'll just bring up Pennsylvania. It would have the Pennsylvania's guns, but I think it would have three on each side instead of 4. So it effectively it's like this, but imagine the hull to be a bit longer, and to have Pennsylvania's secondary guns, dual purpose. Honestly, and torpedoes as well. So honestly, I think that putting it tier 6 is just a big no-no because unless they make the main gun stupidly inaccurate, and thing is that you have to actually put the Constellation in as if she was built. So she would have been built with the dual purpose guns, not with these guns, but with Pennsylvania's dual purpose guns. So they will need to put her in with those dual purpose guns, not just make a Colorado hull and then just stick it with torpedoes and whatnot. They can't do that. They physically can't do that. Honestly, if they put it in as tier 6, it's gonna make, because you got to bear in mind, Fletcher. If we actually look up Fletcher, so what's the Fletcher? Here's the Fletcher. Torpedoes. 10 kilometers. So it will be a battlecruiser at tier 6 with 10-kilometer torpedoes. Now, what has 10-kilometer torpedoes? Sims. 10 kilometers. Okay, well, that's a battleship. Not battleship. Destroyer. And it has, by the looks of it, it has, yeah, 4 tubes. But the Constellation will get triple tubes on each side. But only one set on each side. We go here. Go to the Alba. No. Torpedoes. 15 kilometers. So she would be a bit limited with her torpedoes, but honestly, where are they gonna put her? They could put her as a premium. I put it in like up here as a premium, because that would be pretty cool. Maybe as a freemium, or maybe an event ship that you can earn or whatnot. Honestly, if they add her in, I would probably like her to be tier 7, but then you run into the problem where she may be a bit too weak. Because you have, torpedoes which are 10, 15, with the German ships, their torpedoes are between 9 and 17 kilometers. I mean, it's insane. So, yeah, Alaska class is basically an Iowa, but just scaled down. And then a Puerto Rico class is just a Montana scaled down. Honestly, this would be terrifying for cruisers because Montana and Iowa, they tend to overpen cruisers quite a bit. Alaska and Puerto Rico will be terrifying to fight against because they're smaller caliber guns, but they have that super heavy AP, so they'll be able to just completely dumpster on cruisers, large heavy cruisers and things like that. So yeah, honestly, if I actually look up the Constellation class, um, con- class, Constellation class, Lexington. Oh, hang on a minute. This is interesting. What on earth is this? Um, hang on a minute. Let's look. Hang on a minute. Yeah, here we go. Open image. Yeah, there you go. This is what she looks like. Honestly, if they make her look like this, without the skin, of course, but if they make her look like this, hats off to them. But if they add in her stock model, then it could cause a bit of upset. Of course, her stock model is her real model, but if they could give her the gimmick of torpedoes, then that'll be awesome. Um, but if not, that's fine. Just stick her to 6. And then she'll just be a Colorado, which is worse, but with the same guns. But if they add in this version of her, put it at tier. I mean, tier 6 could be right, but then you would have to nerf something on her to make her balanced, maybe the health pool. The armor will be a big drawback. I mean, you're talking about armor which is weaker than um, um, her main belt is 177 millimeters thick. The main belt on the Congo, I believe, is yeah, 203. So she's got weaker armor than the Congo. So tier 6, thinking about it now, it could be right. She's got a huge amount of freeboard and a massive torpedo bulge. So she may not take a lot of torpedo damage, but she's going to be quick. Very quick. 33 knots, 33.4 to be exact. That's her maximum speed. Her cruiser speed is around 31 knots. So she's going to be faster than Bismarck, and she's going to have bigger guns than Bismarck. And she's going to have torpedoes, which Bismarck doesn't get, but Tirpitz does. Um, so, honestly, if this is added in, then awesome. But if she is indeed going in as a tier 6, um, honestly, put in the comment section what you guys think. Do you think that adding in a Colorado type battle cruiser, which does 33 knots, with torpedoes and 4 6mm guns and dual purpose secondary guns at tier 6, do you think that's a bit too much? Do you think the weak armor, kind of balances her out? And she also will have a terrible, terrible turning circle, because just look how big she is. She's massive. I know this is one of warships, but this is just absolutely giant. And if they add in this variant of her, then I think that this variant just looks better. It just looks better overall. And if we actually look at this variant, you can see, if it actually shows here, I believe that is a torpedo tube right there. That little line there is a torpedo tube, or there. So those might be torpedo tubes. But honestly, if they actually add her in, this looks like a. Oh, here we go. Here's a better picture. You can see where the torpedoes. Am I going mad? Sure, she gets torpedoes. This is a bit more. Yeah, there you go. There's the torpedo right there. Torpedo tubes right there. But yeah, this thing just looked cool. And she's got 5. So she's got 20 guns. God, that's so much firepower. She's got 406s, so she can overmatch 27mm of bow plane. So that means that, well, Congo's going to get overmatched. Fuso's going to get. Actually, Fuso, no, because if they've modeled the Fuso armor correctly, she actually has an icebreaker bow. She has an icebreaker, so maybe not be able to overmatch, but definitely the Pennsylvania will just get creamed. Colorado has 27mm, 27, 25. It's one of those two of bow plane. Ooh, that's a nice bit of health. And of course, if you've got to fight against tier 8s, you have 32mm of bow plane. That's really going to hurt you. It's really going to hurt. So, honestly, if they add her in as tier 6, because we got Lexington already, it'll be Constellation. And if they add her in as a premium, then, that's alright. But if not, again, that's alright. But yeah, you just see, she's essentially like a Colorado. Right, bring up the Colorado. And then just look at her nose. Right here. Look at that nose. And look at this nose. It's essentially the same ship. It's just that this bit which cuts right here is a lot further back. It's because this ship is just so much longer. You're talking about a ship which probably here to about here. So probably as long as Montana. Probably a little bit shorter than that. Probably about yeah, probably a bit longer than South Dakota. But yeah, this is a long ship. Long ship, and she's gonna have an awful turning circle. And she doesn't have very good armor. I heard that they give her these stats if they add her in. But yeah. Also, let's go back to the German battleships. So the Baden, well, I've already seen it in the game. Confirmed Baden's coming in the game. Gneisenau, I haven't seen. If they add in the Gneisenau, then that will be what, either the first or the second. It depends if they're going to add in the Constellation in first or if they're going to add in German battleships first. If they add in German battleships first, then Gneisenau will be the first battleship to have torpedoes. But if they add in the Constellation first, then the Gneisenau will be the second battleship in the game to have torpedoes. And these torpedoes are, again, triple tube on each side. So one tube, one set of 3 tubes on each side. So you've got 3 torpedoes on each side. Honestly, because they're German torpedoes, they will not hit that hard. And they'll just be your standard torpedo. They'll probably be a little bit slower than normal. But they do have more of a so-called penetrating power, where they deduct the torpedo bulge protection a bit more than standard torpedoes. So you could see that German torpedoes would probably do a lot more, not a lot more, but a bit more damage than your standard torpedo. But they won't have the range. They will probably be quite limited in range. Probably like 8 kilometers or whatnot. What could be a fantastic, branch off, because German battle cruisers, it's at tier 6. It could branch off to tier 7, where you can find the Graf Spee at tier 7. If they put her at tier 7, then she'll probably have a rather quick reload with her 283mm or 11-inch guns. But overall, Gneisenau is a great pick for tier 7. Quite quick. Not that mobile, because again, the Gneisenau and the Bismarck are quite long ships. Bismarck is a Gneisenau, but is better in every way except the fact that she loses torpedoes. Uses the same guns. And everybody, everybody who gets the Bismarck, honestly, everybody who tries out a new ship first, like say a new ship comes out, and everybody gets their hands on it, everybody's a bit derpish. Everybody's a bit derpish in that new ship. They sail around, broadside on and whatnot, and they just get absolutely pummeled. But all the German battleships have something which will surprise a lot of people. Something called turtleback armor. No ship in the game yet has turtleback armor, except I think the Congo. I think the Congo is the only ship to get turtleback armor. If you actually look up Congo Citadel, it actually has turtleback armor. It's only a slight turtleback, because the Congo was built in Britain and then sold to the Japanese, so it's got a British turtleback. So British turtlebacks are quite crap. So yeah, Bismarck and Gneisenau and Baden, will have pretty strong turtleback armor. H39. Main guns 8x406. So H39. What's H39? So it's basically, imagine a Bismarck, but which is bigger than the Bismarck, but has a lot more secondary power, a lot more armor, and so on. And so, so. So yeah, the H39 is basically a slightly bigger Bismarck with 406s. The H41 is basically Bismarck with 420s. And then the H-42, H-43, and H-44 are ships which have stupidly big guns. I mean, we're talking about 480s, 508mm guns. Um, and surprisingly, they all have torpedo tubes. Every single one has torpedo tubes. I'm not sure if they are deck torpedoes. They probably are deck torpedoes. So these are 533mm torpedoes, 21-inch torpedoes, six of them. So they're three. So there's a triple tube on each side. And also honestly for tier 9, the H-39 will probably have to have quite a quick reload for torpedoes. Probably like say 40 or 50-second reload on our torpedoes. H-41, maybe give her 9 torpedoes. I know it's strained a bit from history, but give her 9 torpedoes. 8 torpedoes, I don't want to talk about. 8 torpedoes, so she has a quadruple launcher on each side. So four tubes on each side. Um, give her a bit more of a punch. Honestly. Or you could put in the Grusser first, which is essentially is it an H-44? Instead of having 5 and 8, it has 12 420mm guns or 406. Honestly, that'll be awesome if they can add her in. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not enjoy this video, give it a thumbs down. Put in the comment section, what you think about the German battleships. I know I haven't talked about the German carriers yet, but I want to get more information out of that before I make a video. Because there's been so much talk about not just the German battleships, but also the Alaska class cruiser, and a bit of talk about the Lexington, or what, as I think it will be called, as the Constellation class. Honestly, I think that will be a fantastic pick. For tier 6, probably a bit too strong, but if they make the reloads have a really long reload, then yeah. Sorry about that, guys. But honestly, I think that it all adds up really. Grusser first for tier 10 could be a nice pick, but honestly, all of the German battleships, I think, should have the gimmick of having very good secondary guns. So anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.